This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 401, recorded on May 9th, 2019. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy and gal in this case. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the Average Guy.tv studios here in Bellevue, Nebraska, a very beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. And of course, we post a show with world-class show notes. There'll be a few links tonight that you might want to follow. So head out there to the Average Guy.tv. You can also join us live on our mobile app, available for you, both Android and iPhone, completely free if you just want to download it. Might be good to have in case of an emergency. If you're out traveling and you want to stream the live show, best way to do that. You can also stream the show anytime you want. And then the live show's out there through the weekend until I replace it. It's just great to have. Head out to homegadgetgeeks.com. Download those today. Get them on your phone. That way you just have them. You don't have to find them again. We want to thank our Patreon subscribers for making those available to you for free. Don't forget as well, we got the Discord group up and running. And if you want to join us on Discord, head out to theaverageguy.tv/Discord, and you can join us there. I don't know, 60 or 70 of you have done that so far, and the conversation is pretty great. So if you want to join us out there, theaverageguy.tv/Discord. At Gallup, I say my host, Maika Leibbrandt, who's a workplace consultant with Gallup, and Maika is back. She's been on the show before, but we talk gadgets. It's funny, Maika, you and I talk gadgets in the pre and post show all the time for the Theme Thursday and Call the Coach podcast that we do. Welcome to Home Gadget Geeks.
Thanks. So for people who don't know us together, this is me getting to cross over into Jim's world. I've been trying to infiltrate his personal life for like 10 years now.
Well, it's a ton of fun because we podcast almost every week for Gallup. So we get together and we have a whole different audience, like not whole different. Chris makes his way over here sometimes, and there's a few who've crossed over, but we have kind of a audience over there. It's a whole different subject, a whole different world. And then, a ways back, I asked you to be on. We talked about some air fryers and some coffee mugs and some stuff. And you're like, hey, this is a lot of fun. Can I do it more? And I was like, yes, you can. And so we started looking in the spring, and with your schedule and such, it kind of made sense to get you post 400. By the way, big thanks, John Zadler, Christian Johnson, for joining us last week for 400. Big celebration. I've never done 400 of anything in a row in my life. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Thanks to those guys for coming back. We'll have Zadler come back on. He was real popular on Twitter, and some of the comments I got in emails, everybody was happy to see John back. So we will continue to have him back. Christian, of course, working on Cyber Frontiers, and so 55 is out. I published it the same weekend as I published 400. So if you haven't put Cyber Frontiers back on your playlist, you might want to do that as well. 55 is the most current. We love to have you listen to it. Maika, it all started, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, I think. You and I were talking like we normally do, and one of the conversations we were having, and you are trying all these different earbuds out. Like you work from home, right? Your home is your office, and you have to do with me. You've got to do podcasting. So the setup that you have right there. Plus, we do a ton of video conferencing meetings at Gallup. Like we're on video all the time. And so finding kind of that perfect setup that kind of works. And one of the things you could have just used your podcast setup for that, but you were looking for some other alternatives to think like, okay, if I'm going to be in the office all day, I'm going to do this. I need to kind of think through it. So walk us through a little bit, like what did you try and what was the genesis of it, and why a different set of you've got a good microphone there and some earbuds. Why something different?
Well, I like that you're giving me credit for this all being a professional journey. Really, the real moment where I started shopping for new headphone options was when we bought our Peloton, and we moved it into our from our guest room into our bedroom. And I was so busy at work that really the only time I could work out was while my husband was still sleeping. And so I needed some sort of headphones that ideally were wireless that would Bluetooth to the Peloton, because me riding even a stationary bicycle is like the least graceful thing you've ever seen. And I was riding with, I was using these, which are the Bose. These are fantastic. These are the Bose noise canceling, but they are not wireless. And I almost like tripped myself on my arms. It was terrifying. So that was really the genesis of, looking for new wireless earbuds. But I also thought, and I do this with everything, I think like, let me just pile on every solution into one product. And I wanted this, like, it's probably the equivalent of the first universal remote was what I wanted these earbuds to be. And so I wanted something that I could coach on, because when I'm not in meetings, I'm still like all day long for work, I'm coaching people on the phone, and it's typically one-on-one. And it's really luxurious if I can like leave this seat and walk around while I'm doing that, because I think better. And so I was looking for something that would Bluetooth to my phone, and something that would maybe also even connect to my computer, that more importantly, I could also ride the bike with and
Mhm.
sweat all over and just get kind of nasty and aggressive with. And then I also thought, man, if I could travel with them, that would also be great. Turns out that product really doesn't exist. But I learned by trying a whole bunch of different things. So where do you want to start? You want to know what I landed
Well,
on, or everything that
well,
I started?
no, let's go back maybe in kind of chronological order, if you can remember
Yeah.
that. Before you do that, to your statement, I think sometimes as gadget geeks, we spend an enormous amount of time trying to find that perfect solution. I just want one. I don't want to, I want to be able to make it work, whether it's a laptop or whether it's a, in this case, an earbuds or even the phone or car solutions or whatever, where it's like, and I wouldn't expect that from my tennis shoes, right? Or from my shoes. When I'm working in the yard, I have a set of shoes. When
Oh,
I'm running, I have a different set of shoes, right? I have these different solutions for it. But sometimes in the gadget space, like you said, we try and cram it all into one. And maybe because it's super expensive too, right? Some of
I
these,
think that's part of it. There's that nice sort of gateway of it being an investment. And then there's also that level of interest that you get as a gadget person, where you start to learn about all the possible features. And it's like the more educated you get, at least this is how it is for me, the more I expect that education about features to equal availability of features. I mean, that would be the most dangerous path to go down if I was searching for anything else in my life. Like, you would never search for a spouse that way, or an employer that way, or like you said, shoes. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
it's ridiculous. I own a bike that goes nowhere and does nothing but allows me to like ride it. But for some reason I wanted these headphones to do it all.
Yeah. So what did you start with?
I started with, I started online with a whole bunch of really good options. I finally pulled the trigger first on the Bose Sport wireless Bluetooth earbuds. And I got the blue ones because they're really cool, because you can choose from a couple different ones. Now, this is against your advice. I don't remember if you told me this, but I don't remember if you told me this, but you were like, don't do it yet, Maika. Bose is going to release some new ones. And then I was on a work trip and I was driving and I was like, no, I have to take a phone call. Clearly I need to. I actually did pull over to Best Buy, buy these, and make it happen. So I had a birthday and I had some birthday money from my grandma. And so I bought these. And I took a call while I was driving with them. Worked great. There was no latency between the Bluetooth between that and my phone. I did not have it connected to my car. It was just to my phone.
Yeah.
Uh the
In ear only on
yeah,
these, or do they have a little bit of the wire?
Well, no, they're in-ear only.
Okay. Okay.
I say they're in-ear only. It turns out when you look at yourself in the mirror, you look a little like Shrek, because they start in your ear and then
Yeah.
they just keep like coming out. They're very Jetsons-esque.
Yeah.
Um, but for taking the phone call, they honestly were really good. Now, and this will be a clue to why I like the ones that I ended up with instead. You'll notice right now I only have one earbud in. Before I worked at Gallup, I was my degree is in broadcast journalism. My very first job was in broadcasting. And I'm so used to needing to hear the ambient sound of my own voice that it throws me off to have fully noise canceling. So I like that availability of getting to hear like what else is happening around me. So I never actually was using both of the Bose earbuds at once. And that's nice because you can do that with just one of them. And I think I didn't use them for long enough, but I think it even knows whether you're using both or not.
Mm.
They come in a charging case. They come already charged. Like you can charge them in the case just by putting them away. They're super, other than when they're in your ear, they're very small and sleek.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like they almost grow as you pull them out of the case. You're looking at them, and as soon as you get them in your ear, what was the retail? Do you remember on those? $250 or are they $199?
$199.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're good. They're really good. But for what I was using them for, I ended up returning them because I tried it with you on Bluetoothing it to my computer. And there's just, I think I have not yet found a Bluetooth option for your computer that doesn't have a little bit of latency. And it just kind of drove me crazy. I mean, I also have gone to film school and I'm super sensitive to when sound and video are not quite on. And so like I can notice it even if it's a couple frames. So I'm probably more sensitive than the average watcher listener was to
You're
that,
not.
but where we're
Bluetooth,
doing it live, like it
yeah,
just wasn't good enough.
you're not oversensitive. Bluetooth is really frustrating that way, and I
Yeah.
don't recommend it for podcasters. Early on in the podcasting space, when I was doing Ask the Podcast Coach with Dave Jackson, that seemed to be a really popular. Like everybody was trying to get wireless, and it's just it's just not the way to do it. Whether and didn't matter what kind of wireless, it's always going to introduce some kind of latency when you're playing a game or you're doing some of those kinds of things. Doesn't really matter. But when
Yeah,
you're
if I was
having
listening to
this,
music, or honestly, even if I was
yeah,
taking a phone call,
right,
that was fine. But
right,
needing to have the video and the sound at the same time, that was
right.
it was throwing me off a little bit. The other reason I didn't keep them was because I have this one. This is older. I don't even know what this one's called. It's Bose again. That was actually why I started with Bose, was because I knew that the ear fit my ear.
Mm-hmm.
And that was why I didn't go with AirPods, which was my other consideration, was because I don't love how my Apple earbuds feel in my ear, but I knew with the Bose that like this will actually be comfortable. But that's why I took them back, because this one works really well, and the noise canceling option on an airplane is like life changing. And I don't use noise canceling when I'm working on these because it kind of throws me off, and I only like one ear in, and that would probably make me vomit. But
Yeah.
like not because of the quality, just because the equilibrium thing. So I was like, you know what, these do the trick for noise canceling. The other ones looked too goofy and just weren't quite what I needed.
Now, when you say the ones for noise canceling, the ones you're currently using right now,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. These
wired
ones that I
kind.
have that I'm currently using.
Yeah, yeah.
I should have looked up what they're called.
And I should say, as we're talking about this, since we're bringing in one of the things I love to use is my Quiet Comfort 35s. So it took me a long time to get to this decision, and these are $350. And I don't usually spend this much money
So
on.
I have those too,
stuff.
and I didn't
Yeah.
spend money on them. I turned in airline miles that were going to expire for those.
Nice.
But I love them. But and we'll talk about this in a moment. When I travel, they're too bulky for me to bring with me. I can't sacrifice that much space.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm usually traveling for work and with my kids at the same time.
Yeah, for me, I've got a big. We'll talk backpacks here in a little bit. I got a pretty big pouch up front where they fit. They have been fantastic and great. I can't do noise canceling with earbuds. It just is too weird to me. I'm okay over the ear. That kind of makes sense. For podcasting, I use these earbuds, which were designed for athletes to hear the ambient sound, because I can't do that either. And so those have been my go-to for almost a decade. As we've been doing this, just great. They last forever. I only use them. I don't use them it's ironic. I don't use them when I work out. Like that's not, they're only for podcasting, and they have been great. And wired is the only way to go. So I've done it that way. Okay. So keep going with your story.
So I'm pretty sure if I would have tried the AirPods, I would have loved them, just based on what everybody says. I see Justin here has the AirPods and loves them, but I just never tried them. Then again, I didn't realize how much how I was publicizing my passion for the Quest, but apparently I was dropping hints left and right. Then I had my actual birthday, and my husband surprises me with this is the Cadillac of earphone /
Say the Tesla, because nobody knows what a Cadillac is anymore.
I don't even know what a Cadillac is, but this is the really cool thing. So this is, I didn't look up the model number, but this is the fancy Jabra Elite something call center ones. I'll look up what it's called here in a moment.
They're really good headsets. I wish the cans were a little bit bigger, but that sounded bad, didn't it?
No, I mean, I know, but
Yeah.
there's just some things that you're gonna have to deal with in life.
Oh my gosh.
So he gets me this for my birthday, and I didn't know that how badly I needed it, but this is designed for call centers. Here's the best thing about it. I'll pull this out so you can see it. It's got this receiver to put into my computer, so it's no longer Bluetooth. I don't use these to podcast with because I'm too vain and they look a little silly.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
But it can connect to my computer and my phone at the same time. And so I now use these all day long at work. And so this is my slowly starting to realize there's not one product that fits all my needs. This became my work need. The microphone is really great. You can choose noise canceling or not noise canceling. The other day, my this is going to make me sound so spoiled, and I am. But my cleaning lady was here while I was on a coaching call, and she was vacuuming in like probably 10 feet from me, and I had the noise canceling on, and I couldn't hear her vacuuming. And my person I was coaching, I flat out asked, I was like, hey, there is some background noise. Is it okay? And they had no idea. So the noise canceling option is great. I don't use it all the time, but they hold a charge for like 4 days of really heavy work use. I also have used the wire and just done them wired so that they were charging at the same time. And the wire's long enough that if I'm sitting down, it's fantastic. And it charges while I'm talking. So this becomes what I use all day long at work. And I no longer decided I needed something I could also work out and travel with. This just did the trick there.
Yeah.
I do think here's a strange thing. They get a little bit hot and they're kind of heavy in order to hold all that like secret sauce in there.
Yep.
They do start to hurt like if I wear them all day long and don't take them off. But also when you flip the microphone up, a nice lady's voice in your head goes muted. And so it like automatically mutes if you go like that, which is
it's pretty great. The wired version does that as well. They have a $79, let's say $80 pair of wired. We use those at work. USB, really, really good. Good microphones. Almost if you were doing podcasting, you can almost get away with that as the mic. It sounds a little tinny, and so I wouldn't necessarily let Maika do that since she's got that microphone there to be able to do it. Maika, because the pad, the ear pad is flat and it sits on your ear flat. As I just made that inappropriate comment, we think about the over the ear pieces.
Those are nicer.
Yeah, they are. That doesn't mean they're not uncomfortable. 2 or 3 hours of these, and you're finding, you're pulling them off and kind of, cooling your ears a little bit, or rubbing that space around your ears where they're sitting. I don't know if there's any, and these are they're super light and they're awesome. I don't know if there's a perfect pair of headphones that don't need some adjustment, over time, right? These are wired as well. These 35s are wired as well. So you can get, the wire on the end there. All the controls are on the bud. I don't mind. I can get in the office. I can have those on for a 30 or a 90 or 60 or 90-minute meeting and it be really, really comfortable. We have started using those for, or I ask guests when we're recording them at Gallup, we've been having them use them if that's all they have. And they actually sound pretty good and easy to connect. They've got a mute button. Does your wired have a mute button on it, or is the mute button on the ear if you wanted to mute yourself?
Which one?
The Jabra. No, the Jabra ones.
The Jabra has a mute button on the
it's on the ear.
On the ear.
On the ear.
I can never find it, but I think that's just because I'm not used to it yet. So when I want to mute, I just flip the microphone up and it mutes. It's easier. Yeah.
That is a feature. It's got a little magnet that when you flip that up, it senses that. That is a great feature. I love that part about it automatically muting it there. The wired ones have a mute button in the middle. It's kind of like a cough button for those of you who do recordings, and you can just right on the desk. It sits on the desk when and it mutes. Super great to do that. So those are, when I saw you had gotten that, and then you'd gotten the wired version or the wireless version, I was like, oh, that's pretty nice. I think those run about 190, let's say, right? 180, 190.
Yeah. I mean, it has freed me up to do so many things. Now, a lot of it is the type of work I'm doing. I'm not focusing on anything I need to see while I'm
Right.
talking. So I'm coaching people, and I really do need to be kind of focusing on the person that I'm hearing. But I've managed to like do things with my hands. I put laundry away. I'm in the other room from my computer. Sometimes I can still take calls. I played a couple tricks on you that way. It's delightful.
Yeah. No, it's a great way to do it because it has a proprietary dongle for it. You get some pretty good. It's still, I wouldn't say it's still perfect when it comes to latency, but those Jabra headsets are pretty nice. So I think, Maika, anything? Well, before I say this, anything else you want to add? Is that you landed on the Jabra for work?
Not the end of the story.
Okay, here we go. Keep going.
So it gets better. My husband went to a running store to try on some shoes, and they suggested these Trex Aftershocks, they call them bone conduction headphones, and they're made for runners to keep them safe because they don't go in your ear. They sit right on your jawbone, like on your cheekbone. And I'm not positive I totally believe the whole, it's not a speaker, it's conducting through your bones. Like, that would be cool if I was like jamming out to train through my skull. I'm pretty sure that's not what's happening. He loved him and he raved about him. So I was like, all right, well, I returned the earbuds. I still don't have anything that's going to keep me from not falling off my bike. So I tried these and I didn't do my homework. And so I ordered the regular size of them. He later ended up ordering the mini, which I think is made for children. The regular fits me and I don't have that big of a head. I've tried on his mini and I think the difference is just the distance between. So they sit right, like the speakers sit right where you would go na 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 na, like with your with your thumbs,
Right
and then
by
they
your
go
eyes,
over
on
your
the
ear,
cheekbones. Yeah.
and there's nothing that's on top of your ear.
That's cool.
And then they go around the back of your head, but they're wireless other than that.
Right.
And they
What are they called?
they are Trex Aftershocks.
Okay.
I think it's TREKZ. Aftershocks, again with a Z. And we have two different versions. He has the titanium, which is a little bit heavier, and I have the air, which is lighter. And I love them for working out. I even love them we started to take them with us in the car because we can listen to our music and still hear what the kids are doing in the back seat. Now, it is, I read this online and I would totally agree with it. It's sort of like a dog and cat scenario. Like, you're not going to compare these to other noise canceling headphones. You're probably not even going to compare them to other headphones. If you're used to growing up with dogs, this is getting a cat. Like, this is a totally different experience. But I use them mostly on my bike, but I'm also very often the only adult in the house. And so I was like not getting on my bike if it was too early in the morning or too late at night, because there was no way that I could put a headset in and focus and still feel like if something happened with the kids, I could hear it. And with these, I can. I mean, like, I can have them both in. I can be listening to whatever I want to hear, and I can still hear everything else around me. It creates a sensation almost like maybe I would compare them to, I think Bose makes the ones that go around, like that speaker that goes around your neck and sits on your shoulders.
Yep.
I might compare them to that, but when my husband uses his and he's within, like, I don't know, a couple feet of me, I really can't hear his. So that was my main concern, was like, it's not going to be quiet enough. I'm going to be riding this bike and they're still going to be hearing my music, but really nobody can. And my husband wears his all day long. Like, when he's at home, he's in Nebraska right now planting corn, and he'll be like on the tractor. They work great. You can still hear him over the sound of, now you want to talk gadgets. Today's combines are probably a lot more advanced even than the fighter jets that he flies at his real job. But so it's not like he's in a very loud environment, but they're great. I mean, I don't think I would compare them to the rest of my headphones. They also have a microphone. I have not tried a phone call with them.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Mhm.
Starting at about 85 for the least expensive pair, and they go up to,
I think I paid $149 for mine.
49. Yeah.
Oh, and the other cool thing was I went through Ebates and found a deal that got me $50 off a swag package. And the said swag package was only $50 more than paying for them through the website. So if you go through the website, the deal was, I think, flash deal or something, but I went through Ebates first and then ordered them directly from the Aftershocks website instead of from like Amazon or Best Buy. And so they came with an extra package of fun. So I think I got a headphone case and a water bottle and all sorts of other fun sort of
How do they
collateral.
charge? Where do they charge? When you
A tiny little
like
what's
micro
the skinnier than might
USB?
be? It's a micro
Micro.
USB, but it feels smaller because it's plugging into something so
Yeah.
small. It is a micro USB.
Does it plug in the back where it goes around your head, or does it plug in
No, it plugs in
on
like
one of the
right
ear?
behind your ear,
Okay.
basically. So there is a little bit of
Yeah,
a thicker,
I see it.
almost like a tag,
Yeah.
right behind your ear.
Yeah. No, and I imagine it sounds a lot like if you just had music on in the room,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Would
totally
that
what it
be
sounds
the
like.
yeah. Yeah, and so you can still hear as long as those can you get them loud enough where it would affect your
Oh
hearing?
yeah. Now probably. And I only know this because the harder my workout gets, the more I like to drown out the pain with sound. So like this morning when I was about to die, I just kept dialing up the sound as loud as it would possibly go. They do get really loud. Now, they distort the sound quality faster than any other headphone that I've had. I think it's because if you don't have them positioned in like the right place, it does kind of just sound like a speaker that's sitting on your cheek.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. Right now on Amazon, so if you're here in the US, right now on Amazon, you can pick them up for $85. So just regular, well, I should say regular price, but regular Amazon price. List 129.85 would get you the earbuds. Kind of interesting, Micah. I bought a knockoff pair of AirPods
Mhm.
they are exactly the same. I don't know how those people are not being sued by Apple at this point. They are nearly identical in the way they look. Sound quality's okay. And, they sit in my ears and they hang down. That's fine. It works, right? I paid
Uh-huh.
$40 for them or whatever, a little bit cheaper than that. But this may be for working out and for the stuff that I do that way. These look really, really interesting. And I've heard of this before. I hadn't seen them or seen a pair that looked as good as these.
So I realized I ran a 8K on St. Patrick's Day. And that was when I looked around and realized, oh, I'm really old. I'm the only person with a wired headphone. And these like it was a moment, and that was sort of the impetus to say, Mikey, you need to go shopping. But I don't think I would run with anything other than these.
Yeah.
The wireless is so nice, and it does feel really safe to be able to hear everything
Yeah.
around you and still hear your music.
Does it
Now, when you're
rest on
shopping
your
on
ears? As you're putting it around
not
there,
so
does it
much like
rest on that?
so not so much, and that was why I thought maybe I had done the wrong thing by ordering the regular size instead of the mini size. But then I tried on his, and it it almost just kind of stays like not over your ears are not holding it like a pair of glasses
Right,
would.
right.
It's almost like a tension piece on your temples is what holds it. So there's still a little bit of lag for me, and because I don't have any hair, there's a little bit of lag at the back of my head, but there was with his too. The only difference was like how tight it was on the back of your neck.
Okay.
Now be careful when you're on Amazon, you'll see a bunch of different prices. They do make two different types of weight. The Air is newer and more expensive and lighter.
Okay.
The
Yeah, Aftershocks, right?
Yeah,
SHOKZ. They're doing all those, and Trex,
yeah,
TREKZ.
that's it.
Okay. Okay. Well, in this case, maybe those are maybe an early version of them, the ones that aren't
But
quite
there
as
were I mean,
expensive.
I would had I were I to do it over again, knowing the other pair that I've experienced that belongs to the guy I live with, I'd probably just go with the cheaper ones because 'cause they're all good.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
wasn't enough difference between
Oh,
either of ours.
good to know. How long does a charge last?
I have not charged mine yet,
Okay.
and I've used them. Now I don't use them all day long. I use them for probably an hour a day. I've used them for 3 weeks now. I
Oh,
haven't
wow.
charged them yet.
Wow. That's pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
yeah,
well, and you imagine it's probably not having to drive the speaker as hard as it would inside a regular earbud
yeah.
because it's sitting up against it, and it's I'm sure it's a different kind of wave technology that is putting that sound out, and so it because it's quieter, I think you'd probably not use as much power. So that would kind of make sense. Okay. Well, I have to give these a try. This is really I didn't know you were coming locked and loaded with this recommendation tonight. And
I
that
didn't either till I started to talk about it. The more I realized it, the more I realized that is how the story ended. It
yeah.
was number 1 lesson, no headphone can be used for everything that you need to hear.
Yeah, no, and I think it's actually a good idea to have kind of multiple pairs. How does that work? You got a pair of sunglasses. How does that work if you've got these on and you're trying to wear glasses? Does that work?
I haven't tried it. The reviews say it's fine.
Okay. Yeah,
I have not tried it.
Because it would have to sit, for me, it would have to come over and sit right above. I got a pretty thick earpiece here for my glasses, and so it would have to kind of sit high to make that work. Okay.
It would be worth trying. I haven't tried it. I will say, like, I get headaches right there. Like, I can't even wear headbands, but with the jobber ones that I'm using for work, I get more tired of them if I'm also wearing my cool blue light glasses at the same time.
Hey, let's talk about those really fast.
Talk about these two. I'm like all about the gadgets. I've been adding up things.
Different than gamer glasses, right? But these are anti-glare.
These are different because all they are is plastic, and they're treated with the blue light filter.
Blocker.
Mine are. I don't wear glasses. I have really pretty good vision. I've never even been to an eye doctor. You can get your regular prescription lenses to be coated with a blue light blocker, and I've heard that that's super popular lately and kind of pricey. These I bought from an advertisement on Instagram from a company called Lady Boss. I'm going like guns a-blazing on your average guy.
I like it
tonight.
Yeah.
In fact, hold on.
Well, as you're looking, one of the things you wore these on a show that we did.
I did, and we did get some feedback that because they're just plastic that's coated, like you can tell that there's a reflection here. So I don't wear them on our show anymore because they reflect, and people can like see that I'm playing Minesweeper. But I have a code for $10 off. THXBabe at ladyboss.com. Thanks, babe.
The guys are just running right now.
I know. They can't wait.
What was that code again, Maika?
Stop it. You don't care.
No, I do. There could be some. Hey, it's Mother's Day.
Go to ladyboss.com and enter code THXBABE. Like, thanks, babe. But it's super fun. I mean, these were $85. I wear them every day. I bought them for myself as a well-being investment January 1st. I was like, I'm going to make this year. This is going to be what I do that's healthy for myself. And I honestly have stopped getting headaches that I normally got at 3 p.m. And I didn't think I would wear them that often. I thought I would just wear them when I needed to look smarter or older, because my job is to be the smartest person in the room. Like, it's what people pay me for. And sometimes I need a little bit of a extra prop to make myself look smarter. That was my whole idea. I was like, all right, well, maybe if the blue light helps. Turns out the blue light helps. I even started to wear them when I was with you in January. I was wearing them like when I wasn't staring at a screen, and you don't realize how much blue light is in your ambient space anyway. And so now I'll like kind of wear them all day long. And I notice when I'm not wearing them, I would describe them as sunglasses for your computer. And they really do affect I didn't realize how affected I was by blue light. I'm into it. I haven't compared these against others. I have no interest in really comparing these against others, but wearing something that blocks blue light versus not, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I when I drive, I love amber, and so all my sunglasses are amber, and it's just really, really clear. In that case, they're I don't know if those are blue light blocking more than just amber intensive on those. Sure. Same kind of deal here, not quite as intense, but kind of you had said you'd taken them off for a while. We were podcasting and you took them off, and you're like, whoa, like yikes, it's bright in here.
Hard.
Same kind of effect.
It's like, oh geez, what have I been doing?
Same kind of effect if you turn the night light or the I forget what they call it in Windows, but that feature where it takes the blue light out, and then all of a sudden I've had the computers, so it's on right now, so I'm seeing orange, although I have these big bright white lights right here that are. But most nights, though, that kicks on, and every once in a while it'll kick off for some reason. Something will happen, it'll kick off, and you kind of like, yikes! Wow, there's a lot of blue in that. In this case, now I've got the night lights on here, but the Surface Pro is not set that way. And man, that is it's down here. It's like, wow, that is a bright screen. So I think there is something to that. And we're probably better off if, especially in the evenings, right? There's been a lot of studies that say too much blue light before bed is kind of bad. Last night I struggled to get to sleep. Maybe that was the problem. So
I just turned mine on because I didn't know that was a setting. I'm nodding and following along as if I would do the same nodding and following along if you're talking about crypto right now. But
yeah.
you just changed my world. This is really comfortable.
Did you turn it on or you turned it off?
I
The
just turned
setting?
it on. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Oh yeah. So you turn the amber on and it or
Oh,
the
this is like
yeah. Yeah. So when the lights go down, when it becomes night, it'll
when the
automatically
lights
switch over for you.
go down
Right.
on
Yeah.
my computer.
Exactly. I also last time I saw you in person, I see you a lot, but last time I saw you in person, you said this sentence to me. You're like, "Man, I wish I had a bag." And I'm like,
Yes.
"Hey, I have a backpack. Targus had shipped me an extra backpack last time we were talking about backpacks. Of course, they shipped me I think I bought a
Da, da,
mobile
da,
VIP
da.
version of the. We've gone over that before. Really nice bag. But Maika, they sent you a Balance EcoSmart, what they call checkpoint friendly backpack. And I said, hey, let me give it to you, but you have to come on Home Gadget Geeks and talk about it. It's probably a
Mhm.
good time to review some backpack stuff. How have you liked it so far?
Well, I was not carrying a backpack before. I was carrying a computer bag, or I was carrying a briefcase, or I was carrying a Louis Vuitton carry-all or something. This is the best. First of all, converting me to a backpack. That was a really, really good move.
Sweet.
There's a couple things I like about it and a couple things that are just not working mom friendly. I'm not sure if they're full on not woman friendly or if like it was just designed by a man or if it's just because I also anytime I'm using it, I also have my kids with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say it's a gender thing, but it might be.
Okay. Well,
Um,
walk us through it. Maybe we'll have an answer.
things I love about it, it opens all the way to the bottom on both of the biggest pouches. So like the very back is where your laptop goes, and that's what makes it laptop friendly.
It's
But I'm also
different.
TSA pre-check, so it really doesn't matter. But it opens like a clam, like hinges
Yeah.
all the way to the bottom.
I actually find that when I travel, mine does that as well. It actually has two separate compartments. The
Yep.
VIP
So is
does.
this one.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Good.
So it doesn't. Yep. Two
In,
separate compartments.
Yep. And so I find I don't ever get to use it. They're always making me take the laptop out anyways. Now you're TSA pre, so
So you don't
different.
take it out anyway.
Right.
They don't really care.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know how checkpoint friendly it is, but or if I'm just terribly friendly and so the checkpoint people like me. Either way, I haven't had any trouble with that. I do love how accessible everything is because it zips all the way down. Um, that's what I like about it. I also like that it feels, I mean, this is a well-built piece of machinery. Like it is not going to fall apart and it feels soft and sleek and rich. Like it does not feel like something you would accidentally take camping. It's a statement piece that says this woman's put together and
Yeah.
she's here for business.
Well,
I
I
mean, the
think
leather feels good. It's
in
great.
business in business attire, and I don't wear it a
Yeah.
lot anymore, but in business attire when I have no problem throwing
Mm-mm.
throwing mine on, as a backpack and showing up. Mine, the chest strap that I really, really like. I like their chest straps. The one side bent. I got it caught in something and it came off the tubing and I couldn't ever get it really back on correctly.
Mm.
So I don't use it as much. But I think in today's business world, I would have no problem showing up with a customer with a backpack on.
No,
And maybe it's because I'm in
I've
tech.
worn it
I don't
in
know.
a dress and been
Yeah,
totally okay with it.
yeah.
And like it is nice and it's very balanced. Like I like how long it is as a 15.6 inch. Um it it feels tall, like it covers my whole back. So it doesn't feel like, oh, that's a cute thing. It feels like, oh
Padded
no,
belt,
this is gonna hold
right?
what she needs. The padding is really
Well,
great.
mm,
It breathes. Like it's got padding on the back, but it's breathable padding. It's very well supported and it's got this cool little Velcro strap in the middle of the back that easily goes onto the handle of your suitcase.
mhm.
So you strap this and it goes like your suitcase goes through there and it's super, super easy to take on and off of a rolling suitcase. I also like that you can turn it sideways and you can pull this thing from any angle. So it's got a really good sturdy handle at the top and it's got the exact same handle on the side. So in a second, if you don't like the backpack thing, it carries like a briefcase. What I don't like about it is there's just not enough outside pockets for me. Like I struggle because okay, I'm wearing business attire, which for women usually means no pockets. So I have no place to put keys, lip gloss, and a phone. It actually I have one place, but it can really only hold one of those things.
Mm.
There's two outside pockets. I just got back from a business trip, which I also was traveling with my two kids who are younger than 4. So you're going to see everything that I had stashed in here. Um, this top pocket is I have the iPhone 10R and it's the perfect size for this, but doesn't fit anything else. Like if your phone is in there, if you want to be able to grab it really quickly and not knock other things out of the pocket, it's really all you can put in there. And it's got this bottom pocket on the outside that I ended up using for granola bars for my kids or pens. But anything other than that, there's just not enough quick access pieces to it. And it's very slim. So it works better for work than it does trying to dual purpose it for anything else.
I
Like
wonder if we
I
switched.
struggled to also fit other stuff that I needed to fly with on it.
I wonder if we switched, if you would have been happier from that, because the VIP bag that I have has this really, for one, it's got a much bigger front pocket. So when you unzip this down and you open that, it has a very, I mean,
Oh yeah,
it,
yours is huge.
yeah, it fits the Quiet Comforts in here. I can put my little Bluetooth keyboard in here. I can put my
Oh yeah,
meds
mine
in
doesn't get.
here. I can put, there's,
Mine'll fit my phone. That's it.
yeah. And then on the very front here, you can't see it. You can just see it, but there's a pocket right here that's perfect for keys and such, right? And so you can drop that down in there. And then I think we have the same pocket on the bottom, which is this square pocket across the bottom goes completely back. So you can put,
Does mine only goes in the front
okay,
on this
so
one.
you can put, it goes all the way to the back. You can put chargers, bricks, power bricks, all kinds of bulky things. Bricks, yeah, but fireworks.
No, mine basically holds, well, apparently it holds pens. That's it on the bottom. It's nice. It's
Yeah,
sleek,
yeah.
but I think it's only going to serve a work purpose. It's not a great
Well,
anything else.
yours is not, and I don't have a handle on the side so I only have a handle on the top. And it really is, it's a pretty bulky backpack. I think that honestly, for our use case, I looked at that before I gave it to you. And I was like, oh, my first thought was, oh, this has not as much room as the one I currently have.
Mhm.
And I was going to change over, and I thought, well, then you asked, and I'm like, oh, let's give this to Maika, and said, we'll give it to you new, so you're not dealing with a
So
used laptop or a
that's
used.
interesting because what I thought I needed was less room. I had the now, I don't know. I mean, this is one of those strange things that isn't going to happen to me forever. Like, I'm not always going to be carrying stuff for my little kids and work at the same time.
Right.
But I think you can probably think about this as how far are you traveling and where else does your stuff go? Like, if you have a checked bag with everything else you might need, you're probably throwing your headphones and your charger in your checked bag. You don't need it in there. But I had Okatots, OKKATOTS. It's made as a diaper bag, but it looks like one of these. And it's got like a cooler in the top. It would be probably somewhere in between a diaper bag and a camping backpack. But that's what I was carrying that had room for my laptop in it. And it also had the like zip all the way down, but it was so bulky. It felt like I was like maybe, practicing my snare drum in the back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a little bit too much. Turns out I do still need the bulk.
Yeah. Well, good to know though. And
Yeah.
certainly this is a backpack that I was at Best Buy on Saturday and they were clearancing their North Face backpacks. Now, jackets and backpacks. Those are my two weaknesses. I love both. And they were clearancing these for $66 and it was a North Face and I almost bought it. But same kind of backpack style is what you're showing me with the Targus, is that slender and kind of efficient.
Yeah.
And there are times for that. Of course, North Face is going to have just amazing quality. That thing is going to last literally forever. We have bought North Face backpacks for all our kids at some point, whether it's in late in high school or early in college for them just to have those. And they've all held up super, super well. I do want to say before we go too much farther, I want to thank Targus Canada. They were the ones who reached out to me after we talked to Aaron, I think, and said, "Hey, I heard you talking about backpacks." I had bought the VIP. They had sent the one I gave to you. They had sent that to me for kind of review. I couldn't review it. I was glad that I got a chance to give it to you. I think we've given it a good kind of once over. It's kind of, for me now, I'm kind of a
You want to
Target
trade?
fan from that. Maybe next time
You know
you're
what?
back.
Here's
I
the
don't know if
thing.
I can, to be honest. I really like
I walk away from this knowing that I would buy them again. I would just buy a different model.
yeah, yeah,
But it has converted me from thinking I need a laptop bag to just knowing that backpacks are the way to go.
yeah. No, and I think, again, for me, the other thing I didn't like in the old days, they would sew on the chest straps, and I am, especially when I'm traveling, I want to put that thing on, and because it's always sliding off, the
Mm,
arms are always sliding off my chest. And I want to snap that thing in and pull it tight and really hold it close to my
yeah.
body. All the designs and the North Face one I even looked at on Saturday are using this. They're using the piping to connect the chest straps, almost like the chest straps are a decoration, not functional. And if
Ooh,
you pull them hard enough, they'll pull right off. And I
yeah,
want them attached
yeah.
to the backpack. That would be the next backpack. That would definitely be something I would look for to make sure that chest strap is kind of attached in some way and not attached permanently or sewn on,
Mhm.
not necessarily. I thought all kinds of ways. I finally, when I was traveling, the thing came off while I was traveling, and I lost it on a plane. The chest strap, I lost on a plane. I was thinking maybe I could rivet it. I was thinking, well, maybe I could sew it through. And that's, I
Get
was
a
kind of trying to
staple
come up with
gun
all
somewhere.
exactly, nail gun, um,
Zip ties. Mm.
anything to keep the chest strap on. Now, I haven't been. The good news is when I lost it for the first time. That was kind of my last big trip for a while, and the last year I've spent just kind of to and from work. Well, it's not that important that I have a chest strap when I'm going from my car into the office, which I'll do
It gets windy in
300 days a
Omaha,
year.
though.
Yeah, no, yeah, still not that windy. But yeah, no, it is a good. I think. I think a good. I mean, that's a good backpack is an important piece of gear for what when you're doing. I think you've kind of realized that. Tony says he bought a Targus backpack online at Best Buy, shipped for $10 in the store. Same backpack days later was 100. And let's see, so Best Buy shipped for $10 in the store. Same backpack days later was 100.
That seems like a bonus typo in your
Yeah,
honor.
so did he ship for 10?
Bought
Same
it shipped
price.
for 10.
Doesn't matter. The nice thing about that, what Tony is saying, I do like. This is one of those kinds of things I don't necessarily just want to buy online without putting it on. Like, I want to put it on in the
Yeah.
store. The very first backpack, when I started a job 13, 14 years ago and got issued my first laptop from a company. It was the very first time the company had issued me a laptop. That afternoon, I went down to the old Circuit City and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to need to get a backpack. And I got a Swiss, which I like the Swiss brand of backpacks as well. And I remember putting that thing on, and it had a really nice lower back pad. And
Mm,
Mike, I had that thing for 11 years, that backpack,
wow.
and it went all over the world with me. I mean, I took it everywhere. I ripped the Swiss logos were ripped off from sliding it in out of the foot area on an airplane, where you're sitting and such, and it was gently and roughly loved. Just piping was starting to fray, and the handle had started to fray from holding that so much. I had a hard time giving up that backpack. It was such a good backpack. Targus, of course, has been great. I think it's good. I think you just need to pop in, and so Tony saying he got it for $10, and in the store it was 100. So
Wow.
awesome. Sounds like an awesome deal. But I do think there's a huge advantage to trying them on before you do it. Do you find that it's comfortable can you have it on your back for long periods of time as you're traveling, and is it comfortable that way?
Yeah, and this last trip, I had that on my back and a baby carrier and a 30-pound child on my front, and I had, it was great. The straps are thin enough that, like, even when I was sort of weaving in and out and having the baby carry straps over it, it was still comfortable. I think it's just it's definitely designed with a human body in mind, whatever that means, but it's comfy.
Yeah, I think they've gotten better. So it's it
Is
I
yours
can't.
comfortable? Because you got the
Yeah.
bulkier version. What do you feel like you give up to get that bulk?
I the weight distribution of it hangs off your back a little bit farther. And so if you have it on and I've got it full, and oftentimes I travel with 2 laptops, so it's pretty heavy. The
Mhm,
good news is they push the laptops closer to your body, so the weight gets closer to where it should
mhm.
be. Still kinda heavy, and so it kinda pulls back a little bit. Now I've never on a day of travel, I've never meant, "Wow, my back really hurts." Sometimes if you've got something that's really weighted wrong, your hips kinda hurt by the end of the
Mhm.
day, and that's never happened to me. I like it. I would like now I don't know if I would give up the room. Um, that
Yeah.
front pocket is thin and it holds documents super well. So
Mm.
I can jam all my flight documents in there, anything I need. When I'm going through TSA, my wallet comes out, my keys, a phone, they all slide in that and I zip it. And
Mhm.
it's super easy to get to and right up front. It's just weighted because it's a little bulkier. It's just weighted. It pulls just a little bit, but
Yeah.
I've never been uncomfortable.
I wish this was a little bit shorter, and and that's just because when you're sitting on an airplane seat, it still there was no way to push it all the way up to the
Yeah,
front,
it sticks out just a little bit.
and I didn't feel like I really needed the height of it, like the whatever it is from the top to the bottom.
I think the VIP version, let me go back. So I'm on Targus's website right now, and I think the VIP version that I have is also available in 14-inch. And that might for you have been the best of
Hmm.
both worlds where you get and let me verify that just before we get too far. But that may be a situation where you get the all the great pockets that you're looking for,
Yeah.
but you kinda get a smaller footprint, so to
I
speak.
had to decide to leave my glasses case with my blue light lenses at home because there wasn't a quick access option for it. Oh, well,
Yeah,
it's still a really great, well-made piece of equipment,
yeah. Well, nothing like
and I
trying to
learned I need
find,
backpacks.
nothing like when you're trying to find something while you're trying to do a live show. So, well, maybe I'll look through that, but that could be an option for you to get.
Yeah,
They
it's a good idea.
they have 12-inch versions. That all of a sudden now you're getting back to that handbag size. I'm sure they're great, but it is one of those things that I like for if you're going to carry around a laptop and you're traveling. I think 14 is kind of the minimum size.
Mhm.
Um, Micah, we were talking a little bit in pre-show about maybe having a child who doesn't appreciate sleep, and that requires some extra caffeine at times, right? And you and I have also spent some time. The last time we had you on, we talked about your
Talk
coffee
about this,
mug,
which does not leave me. It's still here, the Ember mug.
the Ember mug, about 79 retail still. I saw those in Starbucks. Actually, they're selling those right from the Starbucks store. Great. I'm sure they sold a bunch of them. But you've gone kind of, and maybe not all the way crazy on a coffee maker, but
Oh, no, we
you,
went all the way crazy.
well,
It's okay.
okay, there's way more expensive espresso makers than the one you bought, but for most people, $600 is a little expensive
I
for espresso
I
maker.
have spent,
Talk about what you got.
yeah, I spent as much recently on an espresso machine as I have spent on a couch. We can put it that way. If you look right now at our counter in our kitchen, it takes about half a second to think, "These people are sleep deprived." Like, that's just what you notice real fast. Um, my husband and I both love coffee and require a lot of it. And we decided to splurge as a joint birthday present for both of us on what did I tell you it was? The Breville Barista Express.
Correct? Yeah.
Um, and it is life changing.
Mm.
Now, There's a pretty steep learning curve. I have watched so many YouTube videos. There's a lot about it that's like hard to learn. And I don't understand why Starbucks isn't more messy
Well,
because
it kind of is. You just don't know that. But
oh my gosh, it
yeah.
takes a lot of like elbow grease and mess in order to make a great espresso based drink. But it is such a, and I thought it was just going to be a fun luxury. And I was like, yeah, I thought about getting an espresso because there are just days when coffee won't cut it and you need espresso of some sort. And so I was like, oh yeah, we'll just get the Nespresso and like I'll, every once in a while on those really hard days, then I'll have, a shot of espresso, maybe a latte, maybe an Americano. Well, it turns out we've had it for, I don't know, 2 weeks now, and I'm drinking like I'm using it 2 or 3 times a day
Yeah.
just for myself,
Yeah.
and more if anybody else who I halfway like comes over because I wanna show off my skills. It's fantastic. It'll grind the espresso beans for you straight into the handle, and then you have to tamp it down. It takes 40 pounds of pressure, to really get it in there. You can choose whether you're tamping down a single shot or a double shot, and this morning I was like, "I'll just do a single," and then I was like, "Wait, why? Why would I ever do a single?" I have learned that in order to not make a total mess, it's best for me to grind a single, press it in, and then grind another single on top of it. And then just like at a coffee shop, you move that little handle full of delicious, now pressed, tamped down espresso into the right place and you run it. And you have to like watch the little pressure meter on the front to make sure that you got to espresso range. And then it drips right out for you. It's also got a wand where you can froth milk. And I had, it's strange what's difficult about it. The actual getting the milk to froth and doing it right really took a lot of practice. And getting things to espresso range took a lot of practice. It's kind of like you had to hold your tongue right. You had to do so many things all correct. The first couple times, it probably took me a good 7 to 10 minutes in order to make a drink, and maybe even 2 or 3 tries. But we've owned it for 2 weeks now, and I have gotten down to, I would say, less than 3 minutes start to finish. And that's if I want an actual like latte with milk involved. Sometimes I'll just do the shot of double espresso and add hot water and call it a day. Or sometimes I'll just do a double shot of espresso. There's my story.
Yeah. No, it's a
I'm not embarrassed that I spent that much on an
no,
espresso machine.
you
It is that good.
yeah, and just from one coffee addict to another, 600 for espresso makers is really kind of the middle range. You
You
can
can go, I would say, what
the
is it? Like
high
5 to
ends
8 is probably what
yeah,
you're
well,
gonna.
yeah, the Starbucks are actually they're that $5 to $10,000 range, the ones you have. That's a little over the top. There's another category that's probably 1,500 to 3,000 that you can it's again more fully automated. They're Italian. They're just amazing. They're pretty incredible. Then there's your level, which is probably you're at the 500 to 1,000. You're probably at the low end of that range, which isn't actually not terrible. We we bought a Mr. Coffee, which is kind of crazy. And these are super hard to find, but we bought a Mr. Coffee espresso maker. Doesn't have a grinder in it. It has a lesser version of the frother that you have, but it's still pumped driven. So we get the 30 pounds or whatever that is to get the right amount. And actually worked for I made like up until we did the Nespresso maker, which I just really love. But up until the Nespresso, I made lattes for myself every morning for like 4 years on that thing. 99 bucks. And so you don't have to enjoy a nice handcrafted espresso drink. You don't have to go all out. This is
Yeah.
really nice. And you kind of said this, the learning curve, the more technology you add, the more it kind of adds to the learning curve of how to make these. It's not necessarily like it makes it for you. That's a Keurig,
Mhm.
and that coffee's terrible. So don't do it
Mhm.
that way.
It is.
Right? If you're gonna do Keurig, do a Nespresso. And then you're right. The frothing is for a lot of people takes a little bit of practice if you're gonna use milk. By the way, Sammy's home from college and she's lactose intolerant, so she uses the lactose free milk. That stuff foams awesome, like unbelievable. Like all of a sudden, I'm starting to think maybe I'll just use her milk from now on while she's here for the summer. because it's
So
pretty
we've
incredible.
tried a lot of different milks. I I don't know what's the older I get, the less I can tolerate actual milk. And because I discovered it in a coffee shop and then I found it in our grocery store here, I tried oat milk.
Mm.
Because it tastes so good, and I was all about it. And you can try like the vanilla was no more sugar than the plain, so I was buying this vanilla oat milk, and it was kind of hard to froth, but once you got it, man, it tasted good. And then I went to buy some more, and I realized it tasted good because it had 300% of the calories of the almond milk that I was buying.
There is a
So we
correlation.
chalked that
There
up
is
to
a correlation.
like, all right, well, that was a fun way to learn that. I probably shouldn't go back to oat milk, but it
Yeah.
was tasty.
Well, in those, you can use whole milk and you can use half and half. That's another way to get really
Sure.
um, frothy milk. The other trick, if you want to make espresso, handcrafted drinks, and you want to use milk, Viva. I've talked about this before. VAVA, Viva probably is the way it's pronounced. They actually make a line of, and the one I have is, I was looking it up on Amazon, not available right now, but they make a version. It's a detachable milk frother, and you literally, this is an idiot's version of getting froth. It's a, think of a base, and then there's a heating. Inside is a heating pad, and then there's a non-stick, not jug, but what would you call it? Non-stick cup, whatever,
Okay.
goes in there, and it's got some lines, min and max. You just put the milk in, put the lid on it. It's got a little metal wheel in there that spins magnetically.
So it
So
does it all for you.
the base, yeah, completely. The base has a magnet in it, and it spins spins the frother on the inside. It's just a little round, little disc like this that's got wires that go around it. Like, looks like a little bit like a magnet itself. And you push the button. It is literally one button and you walk away. So it's the first thing it probably takes, because it's got to heat the milk, and then it's spinning it, and it's spinning it at different speeds to get it frothed, which is really cool. So I literally, first thing I do in the kitchen, I go in, I fill up the frother, put the lid on, and hit start, because it's going to take probably 6 minutes. I need to time that sometime just to see how
It's
long
a
it is.
long time just
Yeah,
to
well,
froth the milk.
it's got to warm it. So your milk needs to be at the right temperature. So it gets it to the perfect frothing temperature and froths it at the same time. You literally take the lid off of it and just pour it right in your coffee. It is by far for folks who can't froth, this is your gadget that you need to it's super easy. And the crazy thing is, they're like $50. So it's not like they're super expensive and you have to. So you don't have to go $600 to get really quality. By the way, on yours, when you're tapping that coffee,
Mhm.
last thing you do, give it a little twist before you pull it off. So tap it, pressure. Then are you hand doing it, or does it have a little thing on there for you
I'm
to tamp
holding it.
it?
Well,
Okay.
I've been, like, kind of putting it on a towel
Yeah.
and,
So my
like, pressing it down on the counter. It comes with a thing called, and this is trademarked, it's called the razor, and it is the exact size to, like, it's basically if you took a credit card that had a cutout in it to, fit the top of your container, and it's supposed to exactly be the level that your espresso is at, and so you do a little turn over it. I feel like I lose too much. Like, I want all my coffee grounds in there.
yeah.
So I use that a little bit, but I don't use it like I should.
So the folks that make espresso, and they call the finish, that's called the finish, right? So you tamp it to the right pressure and then just spin it before you pull it off, and it puts a little finish on top, a little smooth finish. So
Mm.
try that. Pretty delicious that way. Schoonover, Kevin Schoonover in the chat room says, by comparison, Keurig coffee makers are cheap, right? And Nespresso the same way. My Nespresso coffee maker was $100, so pretty cheap.
Yeah.
But the K cups or the Nespresso pods are relatively expensive, and they're not, but they are. I'll show how in a second. Total cost of ownership over time will favor your barista. So let's talk about Nespresso. So
Yeah.
I'm $100 in on the maker. Each one of those double shots that I make is $1. Okay, so I buy in a month. I do about 40. It's my name's Jim, and I have a coffee problem. And so you think, okay, $40 a month over a year, I'm now at your barista. Like the difference is just in pods. The difference is you're still making like it. There's still a little bit of work in your
Yeah.
setup. It's a little messy. You mentioned you got to get the frothing right. In my setup, it's literally set it and forget it. Put the milk in, put the top in, hit the one button. Nespresso, put the pot in, shut it, hit what button. Fills up the coffee. When the frother is done, I take the lid off, pour that in, I'm gone. You know.
Mhm.
So it is a little more easy, a little more
Yeah, but
convenient.
mine has a lot more love in
It,
it,
oh, it
and
is
so
great.
I'm sure
Listen,
it tastes better. Okay,
it
so
listen, there's nothing I are you trying? No. There's nothing better than making a really solid cup of espresso that you're right, it's got a little love. I think Joe is saying he says he's a big fan of old school percolator. By the way,
ooh,
perked
yeah.
coffee,
Oh,
amazing.
yes.
Amazing. There's nothing better. My mom had a stovetop percolator
Yeah.
that literally, I think Jesus was making
Oh,
coffee
no
in this
kidding. I have a friend, well, Ruth in the UK, I remember
thing.
staying at
Yeah.
her house, and she calls it the mocha. Like, that is the name of the actual thing. Here's the mocha, and we put it on a stove, on, like, a gas stove. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about you today, Jim, because I know your Starbucks drink of choice is that peppermint latte,
Mhm.
and I was in search of now, ideally, and I think I will always still come back to the purist in me likes the no flavor, no sugar, just really, really good espresso. We've been ordering the Lavazza espresso beans from Amazon, the extra crema. How pretentious can I sound? In like, let's be honest, I'm in my pajamas. I barely have pants on. I'm not as fancy as I sound right now. But so I really do like the taste of coffee. So I rarely will add even syrup or anything. But I was like, you know what? I need to find out how I could play with this. I want to know what my options are. And so I went to go buy coffee syrup, and I didn't look a lot of places, but it was running me about, it was going to be about, I don't know, $8 to $12 for a bottle of like coffee syrup and flavored syrup. And then this morning, I opened up my drawer and I had some, you want to talk about a kid who doesn't sleep? A couple years ago, I thought I tried everything and I finally landed on maybe essential oils is what he needs. So I had some old essential oils in a drawer and I had lavender and I had peppermint. And so I made a simple syrup on my stove of a cup of sugar and a cup of water, and I boiled it, and I added one little drop of peppermint, and I made myself my own flavored syrup.
Nice.
And then I also made one with lavender, and I ended up having to add more syrup because it tasted like I was drinking Chanel number 5. And I created a lavender latte that is to die for, and it didn't cost me anything but my sugar, water, and 2 drops of oil that I found at the back of my drawer.
Nice. Yeah. No, that'll work. That piece will work. We've actually I ran into a little problem with my peppermint because we were ordering it from Amazon. They've literally doubled the price. There must have been a run on mint somewhere. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. But it
I can
went
help you out. I can hook you up with my
well.
random
Have to
bottles
get some.
of
I get some essential oils. That
hippie oil.
that price doubled, and so we still went to a different brand, and that's getting expensive. Fortunately, my soon-to-be daughter-in-law, we hope, is she works for Scooters, and so we're kind of able. She was like, we're like, hey, could you get us some, something from Scooters? She's like, oh yeah, but it is one of those things where it's I keep. The routine is in the morning, I go in, pump some, into a Starbucks mug, brew a shot or a double shot, run the frother that comes in the car with me. And
Mhm.
it is, I do miss a little bit of my experience with, with doing it like you're doing it. And I think maybe in a world where our kitchen's a little bit bigger and I go back and I've got some
Yeah.
space to do that again, I think maybe I go back to making it that way. The Nespresso is fine. It works great. I love the coffee makers. They look great. It really brews a really delicious. When you think about the crema, these Nespresso makers were made by serious coffee snobs, and they
Yeah.
figured out how to do it Keurig style and not have it be as awful as a Keurig. And so it's pretty great, but I wouldn't mind going back. to.
We had before our Keurig, so we have a Keurig that also has a big carafe, so you can choose the single cup or an actual carafe, and that was really important to me, and we still have both of them on our counter right next to each other, and I still use both of them over the course of a day, but it was I mean, this this experience was made for me because it's important that my house feels like a space I can entertain people in. Like we don't live very close to our family or our friends, and we constantly have we're blessed enough to have people travel to visit us. And so that was a really important reason why we did this. But before our Keurig, we had a Tassimo, and we had 2 different ones because we had a US one here, and then we moved overseas and had a UK version because we just couldn't be without it. And we bought that at the time when Keurig was not yet king, and it was sorta like they're still duking it out. By the time our Tassimo died, we went to the Keurig because we wanted the options, but you're right, the Keurig coffee is pretty horrible.
It's not great. It's not great. I mean, it's basically like getting in a gas station, which can be good, never. And so it is one of those things where it is nice. Like I really enjoy that first cup of coffee.
Mhm.
On Saturdays when I'm podcasting down here with Dave Jackson, I actually brew 2 cups because we're on for an hour and a half, and one is not enough. I need 2 cups of coffee. So I actually brew 2 in advance. I bring them down and set them on the table down here. Well, so I had done a podcast and it was a Saturday morning and I had a beer can or bottle sitting on this side of the studio from the night before. And then I had 2 of the coffee cups on the desk sitting here from that morning, and somebody wanted a picture of the studio or whatever. So I took a picture and they noticed. They were like, "Oh,
Oh, you're
coffee
living your
on
best
one
life.
side, coffee on one side, beer on the other. Nicely done." So it was, it
That's what
is
I just drink really good coffee until it's appropriate to have wine.
exactly, exactly. Micah, thanks for taking the time tonight to jump in
Jim,
here.
thanks for letting me come to your party. I
No,
feel
it's
so honored.
yeah,
This is
for
just the greatest thing ever,
you
and
kicked off the next 400 for me, right? I mean, we finished
okay,
400
I'll
last
take
week. This
that.
is 401. You're on to kind of get the next 400, which takes 9 years, by the way. It takes 9 years to get 408 and some change. But
Well, then, just to keep you in my life, I wanna, like, dibs on 800. So I'll be your stick around for the next 9 years.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm hoping, if you're listening to this and you haven't heard us, if you've taken Clifton Strengths and you know your top 5, or you've unlocked all 34, Micah and I spend a whole bunch of time talking about that. All you have to do is head over to YouTube and search Theme Thursday, and then put the theme name in that you recognize. Even if you don't know your themes and you like this dialogue between the two of us, head over there. Just go to Theme Thursday. We have made 35, 70, 140 plus, let's say 150, because we've had some other special episodes in there. 150 podcasts together just around our themes.
It's a couple weeks of us. I gotta say, if you, Jim, this will be fun to say to people who know you in like your basement, as opposed to those of
Basement
you
studio.
at work. Thank you for just being awesome. If you like this dialogue, what you're seeing right here is what happens when people genuinely love and appreciate each other at work. And Jim, that's changed my whole life. So thank you for just being my best friend at work
Yeah.
and inviting me to be part of this side of your life.
Yeah, no, we get to have fun, almost too much fun. Today we connected for, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes to record the promo for the next season. And it was more talking than it was promoing. And we quick did a promo at the end and got that done. But kind of a ton of fun to, this podcast reaches a certain segment of the population. It's fairly US centric, or I say North America centric. A lot of folks from Canada. We get a fair number from the UK and Australia. But what Micah and I get to do at work really does have this incredible international flavor to it. Tomorrow morning, waking up early, I'm going to get a chance to do a very early morning podcast out of the UK with some of our friends there. And I'm trying to do more in that time zone. And so it's just a ton of fun to be available and to be able to do that kind of stuff. And I never sleep anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But we get not only this, and it's so funny, Micah, because as you were asking me, okay, where's the chat room? And I said, well, you go to the averageguy.tv/live. It's right below the video. She's like, this reminds me of another place. And I have just really taken what I do here and make it work at work. And it so far, so good.
You've demonstrated what it looks like to admit that you have strengths and to use them over and over again and to follow what works and pay really close attention to where can you be your best self. And I think it's no coincidence. This is also how you like to spend your evenings. And so that, I mean, regardless of where you're listening to this from, you're probably part of a workplace or a family place or a community place. And I hope for everybody that they have the same sort of experience that you've created here. This is what it looks like to love what you do every day. Thanks for being a good example for us, Jim.
You are very welcome. And it's probably the answer to how I did 400 in a row, how we've made 700 of these at Gallup. Like, I've almost done, I think, somewhere in the 600 or 700 range on both sides. And to your point, when you find that sweet spot, when you find what you really love to do, you got to go after it. And for me, I was lucky. It turned into work. It was a hobby. And it turned into work. I don't get to drink beer during the Gallup podcast, and so that's not as much fun. Maybe we should try.
Maybe we should.
I wonder how well that would go over. Want to remind?
I did once.
At Gallup, I want to remind everyone to take full advantages of all the resources we have available. But I will say, don't forget, if you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon link that's available for you. If you head out theaverageguy.tv/Patreon, if you want to do that, there's a bunch of you that do, and I really appreciate that. So $5 plans, whatever you want to do, 1 month, 6 months, a year, I don't care. It helps kind of keep doing what we do here, and I appreciate your support of that. Some of you just want to give back, and I greatly appreciate that. It's allowed me to do some things here to talk about some of the stuff that we do. I like to buy the things. I buy most of my tech that helps do that. It's super expensive. Sarah lets me stay around because of your support in being able to do this. And so appreciate it when you do that through Patreon. Don't forget, you can join our Discord group, theaverageguy.tv/Discord. We'll get you in it there as well. If you want to send me an email, give me some feedback. We always love to hear from you. It's one of the things, Maika, that's great about the Gallup podcast. I do get some great feedback nearly weekly here, but not like the volume we get at Gallup. And it's pretty incredible when you get that feedback. So if you've been thinking about it for this show, something you want to encourage me on, or something you want me to do differently, or something you want a topic or a guest or whatever, send me an email, Jim@theaverageguy.tv. You can tweet to me, Jim, or at J Collison, if you want to do it that way as well. Join that Facebook group, facebook.com/group/theaverageguy. We'll get there. And I'll just remind you that the averageguy.tv platform, both web and media hosting, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from folks that you know and that you trust. Of course, that's Christian. You can get more information and plans that start as little as $10 a month for full hosting. Great for podcasters. MapleGrovePartners.com. We are live. I am live for the next 400 episodes. I don't know if I should really commit to that. Oh, yikes. We're live here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Next week, my daughter is coming on. So Sammy will be here. Maika, you want to come out and join us live. Sammy will be here. She's back from college. I've talked her into coming and talking about college tech. We had Christian do this, 3 or 4 years ago. And she just uses a ton of tech in what she does. And I want to have her, actually, she wants to start podcasting. So we're going to use Home Gadget Geeks as a way to kind of launch that with her. So she's opinionated. She's a journalist.
What's she going to talk about?
She is also going to talk. We bought her some headphones, and she's going to talk a little bit about the different issues of the different spaces that they have to work around in college. Right? It's not quite like the workplace.
Yeah.
And so she's going to talk a little bit about that. She's going to talk about some of the technology around software and what they have to use, and some of the things they use in the school around technology. And then I'm just going to kind of quiz her on some of her favorite tech stuff. She's a pretty avid social media user, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. Just good to have her on. You guys have met Sarah. We had her on, I don't know, Sarah, how long ago was that? A month ago? 2 months ago? She's down
Hi,
here.
Sarah.
She's down. Maika says hi. She is, so we've had Sarah on, but I want to get Sammy on. years. So next week, Samantha, Mike, Wieger, and I talking a little bit about college tech. We're live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at the AverageGuy.tv live. Maika, thanks again for joining me tonight. We'll do a little post show because that's what we do on the Gallup stuff as well. Not too much because we got to get Maika back to her life. But with that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.